The Sakari commander's shouts rang through the abandoned alien ship as the human thief Austin Hunter raced away with advanced technology that would change the course of human history. Austin's breath came in gasps as he sprinted down the twisting corridors of the derelict Sakari spacecraft, stolen alien gadgets clutched in his arms. Only minutes before, the resourceful human explorer had boarded the seemingly empty vessel on PX-117, hoping to scavenge parts or rations. Instead, he stumbled on a treasure trove, sleek devices and strange machines far beyond anything humans had invented. Austin instantly recognized their potential to skyrocket humanity's capabilities, and even the odds against the technologically dominant Sakari. He knew he had to get this tech back to Earth fast. But Sakari Commander Primus burst into the ship as Austin stuffed his pockets and pack with the priceless artifacts. The alien's red eyes flashed with shock and rage at the sight of a human pilfering their advanced technology. "You cannot take those! Return them at once!" Primus bellowed in broken English. "Not a chance," Austin yelled back over his shoulder as he bolted for the exit. "Humanity needs this." Austin charged up the ship's ramp into dry desert air and took off across the orange sand, leaving Primus shouting furiously behind him. The young explorer's mind raced with visions of the breakthroughs this alien tech could bring to medicine, transportation, energy, defense. It could propel humans from a minor galactic player to a true superpower, a force even the Sakari would have to reckon with. Austin pushed himself to run faster, determined to reach his own ship. He had to deliver this technology to Earth, no matter what challenges or dangers he faced. The fate of humanity depended on it. If the Sakari recovered their lost tech and humans never unlocked its secrets, his species would remain hopelessly outmatched by alien civilizations, stagnant, vulnerable, at the mercy of the galaxy's true powers. But if he succeeded, he could change everything for humans. Austin refused to fail. Austin's heart pounded as he pushed himself to his limits, his legs burning with each stride across the orange desert sand. The stolen alien tech felt like a lead weight in his pack, but he clutched it tighter, knowing the priceless value it held for humanity's future. Behind him, Primus's furious shouts grew fainter as Austin put more distance between them. He risked a glance over his shoulder and saw the Sakari commander gesticulating wildly, no doubt calling for backup to pursue the human thief. Austin faced forward again, pouring every ounce of energy into reaching his ship. The seconds stretched into minutes, each step a battle against exhaustion and the planet's harsh environment. Finally, his ship came into view, a welcome sight amidst the barren landscape. With a final burst of speed, Austin raced up the ramp and slammed his hand on the door control, sealing himself inside. He wasted no time, strapping into the pilot's seat and firing up the engines. As the ship lifted off, Austin saw Sakari vessels descending from the sky, no doubt with orders to recover their stolen technology at any cost. "Not today," Austin muttered through gritted teeth, punching in the coordinates for Earth. The stars elongated into streaks of light as the ship jumped to light speed, leaving PX-117 and the furious Sakari behind. Weeks later, Earth was abuzz with news of Austin's daring heist. The alien technology he brought back was unlike anything humans had ever seen, holding the potential to catapult their civilization forward by centuries. Overnight, Austin became a global celebrity, his name on everyone's lips. Governments and corporations alike clamored for his expertise, eager to unlock the secrets of the Sakari tech. Driven by a fierce grit to see humanity reach its full potential, Austin accepted a leadership role in the newly formed Global Alliance for Technological Advancement, GATA. He threw himself into the work, overseeing teams of the world's brightest scientists and engineers as they worked to integrate the alien technology into human society. The breakthroughs came rapidly, each one more astounding than the last. Advanced propulsion systems revolutionized transportation, cutting travel times between cities and continents to mere minutes. In the medical field, the Sakari tech led to cures for once incurable diseases and the development of life extension treatments that promised to extend human lifespans by decades. The military, too, underwent a transformation. Human forces were equipped with weapons and defensive systems that made them a force to be reckoned with on the galactic stage. For the first time, humanity had the means to stand toe-to-toe with the advanced civilizations that had long looked down upon them. But even as Earth entered a new golden age, trouble was brewing. Not everyone was thrilled with the rapid changes brought about by the alien technology. Protests and resistance movements emerged, with some fearing the consequences of tampering with tech they didn't fully understand. Others worried about the growing power of Gata and the potential for abuse. Tensions rose, dividing the population even as humanity as a whole reached new heights. And in the shadows, an even greater threat was growing, one that could unravel everything Austin and Gata had worked to build. On the Sakari homeworld, Primus stood before the High Council, his head bowed in shame as he recounted his failure to stop the human thief. The councilors' faces were grim, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily upon them. "This cannot stand," the High Counselor said, her voice cold with fury. "The humans cannot be allowed to keep our technology. The consequences would be catastrophic." "I take full responsibility," Primus said, his voice heavy with regret. "I will do whatever it takes to rectify this mistake." The High Counselor nodded. "See that you do. We cannot let the humans gain an advantage over us. They must be stopped by any means necessary." With a wave of her hand, she dismissed Primus. As he left the council chamber, a figure detached itself from the shadows and fell into step beside him. "Lieutenant Zaxor reporting for duty," the figure said, his voice a low rumble. "I have assembled our best operatives. We await your orders." Primus's eyes glinted with dedication. "We go to Earth. We will infiltrate their society, sabotage their efforts to understand our technology, and we will take back what is rightfully ours, no matter the consequences." On Earth, Austin stood before a crowd of reporters, his face a mask of calm confidence as he fielded their questions. Behind him, a gleaming new research facility rose into the sky, a testament to the rapid advancements made possible by the Sakari tech. "Mr. Hunter, can you tell us about the latest breakthrough in medical technology?" one reporter asked, thrusting a microphone toward him. Austin smiled, the picture of self-assurance. "Gata's team has made incredible strides in developing advanced prosthetics and organ regeneration techniques. We believe this technology will revolutionize healthcare and improve the lives of millions." As he spoke, Austin caught a flicker of movement in the corner of his eye. He turned his head slightly and saw a figure slipping through the crowd, their face obscured by a hood. Something about the figure set off alarm bells in Austin's mind. He scanned the crowd more closely, his instincts honed by years of scavenging and survival. There, another hooded figure, moving with a purposeful stride toward the research facility. Austin's heart began to race as realization dawned. Sakari operatives, here on Earth. And if they were targeting the research facility? He spun to face his security detail, his voice urgent. "Lock down the facility now! We have a breach!" Chaos erupted as security personnel sprang into action, racing to secure the building. Austin pushed through the crowd, his mind whirling with the implications of the Sakari's presence. If they were here to sabotage Gata's efforts, it could set back humanity's progress by years, even decades. Austin couldn't let that happen. He had to stop them, whatever it took. The fate of the world and the future of the human race depended on it. Inside the research facility, alarms blared as security teams swept through the halls, searching for the intruders. In a darkened lab, Zaxor and his team worked quickly, planting explosive charges and downloading sensitive data. "We have what we need," Zaxor said, his voice calm despite the urgency of the situation. "Set the charges and prepare to extract." His operatives nodded, their movements precise and efficient. They had trained for this mission, spent months infiltrating human society and gathering intelligence. They would not fail. But even as they made their escape, Zaxor couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The humans were resilient, adaptable. They would not give up their newfound power easily. And with Austin Hunter leading the charge, the Sakari would have to be on their guard. The human had proven himself a formidable opponent, one not to be underestimated. As the research facility went up in flames behind them, Zaxor and his team disappeared into the night, ready to continue their mission from the shadows. The war for Earth had begun, and the stakes had never been higher. Austin stood amidst the smoking ruins of the research facility, his face grim as he surveyed the damage. The Sakari's attack had been devastating, setting Gada's work back by months, if not years. But even as he grappled with the setback, Austin's drive hardened. He would not let the Sakari win. Humanity had come too far, achieved too much, to be brought low by a race that sought to keep them in the dark. He turned to his team, his eyes blazing with commitment. "We rebuild," he said, his voice ringing with conviction. "And we fight back. The Sakari think they can sabotage us, infiltrate our world, and tear down what we've built. They're wrong." Austin's team nodded, their own commitment mirroring his own. They had the technology, the resources, and the will to stand against the Sakari, and with Austin leading the charge, they knew they could overcome any obstacle. As the sun rose over the ruins of the research facility, Austin and his team set to work, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The future of humanity hung in the balance, and they would not rest until it was secure. At any expense, no matter the sacrifice, they would fight. For Earth, for humanity, and for the dream of a better tomorrow. The battle lines were drawn, the players set in motion. The stage was set for a conflict that would shape the fate of two races, and the future of the galaxy itself. And at the center of it all, one man, driven by a relentless persistence to see his species rise to its full potential. Austin Hunter, the unlikely hero who had set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of history. The Sakari would not know what hit them. Austin's world turned upside down in an instant. One moment, he was overseeing a critical experiment at Gada's main research facility. The next, alarms blared as Sakari operatives swarmed the building. "Secure the data! Evacuate now!" Austin shouted to his team. He sprinted down the corridor, determined to reach the emergency escape pod. A blast rocked the facility, knocking Austin off his feet. As he struggled to stand, a familiar figure stepped through the smoke. "We meet again, human," Zaxor said, his voice cold. Before Austin could react, a stun blast hit him square in the chest. The world faded to black. Austin awoke in a sterile cell, his head pounding. Through the energy barrier, he saw unfamiliar stars. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. He was off-world, in Sakari custody. Days blurred together as Primus and his team subjected Austin to relentless interrogation. They demanded information on Gada's progress, on the extent of human understanding of Sakari tech. Austin remained silent, even as the questioning grew more intense. "You leave us no choice," Primus growled after another fruitless session. "Perhaps your people will be more cooperative." On view screens across Earth, Primus's ultimatum played on repeat. "Cease all research into our technology, or Austin Hunter pays the price." The response was chaos. Protesters filled the streets of major cities worldwide. "Give them what they want. No surrender. Bring Austin home." Inside Gada headquarters, heated debates raged. "We can't abandon our research," one official argued. "It's our only defense against them." "And what about Austin?" another countered. "We owe him everything. We can't leave him to die." As governments bickered and the public's fears grew, a select group gathered in secret. Dr. Evelyn Rhodes, her wild hair matching the intensity in her eyes, addressed the assembled scientists and military personnel. "While they argue, we act," she declared. "I have a plan to save Austin and secure our future. Who's with me?" In a hidden hangar, Rhodes and her team worked tirelessly. They combined human ingenuity with their hard-won understanding of Sakari tech. The result, a small fleet of ships unlike anything Earth had seen before. Under cover of night, they launched. As their ships broke atmosphere, Rhodes addressed her crew. "This isn't sanctioned. If we're caught, we're on our own. But humanity's future hangs in the balance. Let's bring our hero home." The Sakari outpost loomed before them, a fortress in the void. Rhodes's voice crackled over the comm. "Team Alpha, create a diversion. Beta, you're with me. We find Austin." Explosions rocked the station as Rhodes and her team infiltrated. They fought their way through surprised Sakari guards, their hybrid weapons proving devastatingly effective. They found Austin in a high-security cell, battered but unbowed. As Rhodes worked to disable the energy barrier, Austin's eyes widened. "Behind you!" Zaxor emerged from the shadows, weapon raised, but he hesitated, conflict clear on his face. "This isn't right," he muttered. In a split-second decision, he lowered his weapon. "Go, quickly." As they raced back to their ship, Rhodes spotted a device humming with strange energy. On impulse, she grabbed it. With alarms blaring and Sakari ships in pursuit, they fled back to Earth. In the ship's medbay, Austin turned to Rhodes. "That device you grabbed, I think it's a quantum entanglement core. With this, we might be able to replicate their FTL drives." Rhodes nodded, the implications clear. The balance of power just shifted. As Earth grew larger in the view screen, Austin and Rhodes exchanged a look. They had won this battle, but the war was a long way to go. Humanity now had the tools to stand against the Sakari, but at what cost? The future stretched before them, filled with possibility and danger in equal measure. The stolen Sakari ship touched down at a remote airfield outside of Denver, its engines whining as they powered down. Dr. Evelyn Rhodes stepped out first, her wild hair whipping in the wind. She turned and helped a battered but determined Austin Hunter down the ramp. Cheers erupted from the gathered crowd. News crews jostled for position, their cameras trained on the returning heroes. Rhodes raised Austin's arm in triumph, her voice ringing out over the clamor. "We've done it! We've struck a blow for humanity's future!" But even as supporters mobbed them, Rhodes caught sight of stern-faced government officials pushing through the throng. She leaned close to Austin, whispering urgently, "This fight isn't over yet. Meet me at the lab tonight." Hours later, Rhodes hunched over a workbench, the purloined Sakari device spread out before her. Holographic schematics danced in the air as her team of scientists pored over every component. "There!" Rhodes jabbed a finger at a pulsing crystal matrix. "That's the key to their quantum entanglement. If we can replicate this..." Days blurred into weeks as they worked feverishly. Finally, Rhodes held up a glowing prototype, triumph blazing in her eyes. "We've done it. We can mass-produce Sakari tech." In a hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, assembly lines hummed to life. Sleek fighters and energy weapons took shape, gleaming with otherworldly power. Rhodes strode through the rows of newly minted recruits, ex-military, GATA defectors, brilliant minds chafing under bureaucratic restraints. Her voice rang with conviction. "We are humanity's shield and sword. With this technology, we'll ensure our species' survival against any threat." But word spread. Protests erupted in cities worldwide. "No to stolen alien tech. Rhodes is leading us to war." In the Sakari High Council chamber, Primus's fist slammed down. "Humans have our most guarded secrets. Annihilation is too good for them." Zaxor knelt before the assembly, his voice steady. "I will lead the strike force myself. We will crush this insurgency and reclaim what is ours." Back on Earth, Austin Hunter stood before the GATA board, his face a mask of frustration. "We can't bury our heads in the sand. Rhodes has given us the means to defend ourselves." But his pleas fell on deaf ears. That night, he slipped away from GATA headquarters, tenacity etched on his features. He found Rhodes in her underground base, overseeing final preparations. "I'm in," Austin said simply. "Whatever it takes." Rhodes nodded, relief evident in her eyes. "Good. We'll need every able body." The next day, chaos erupted. GATA security forces stormed Rhodes' known facilities, but she was ready. Cloaked ships rose from hidden hangars, advanced weapons blazing. And then the sky split open. Sakari warships descended, Zaxor at their head. The battle for Earth had begun. Cities burned as three-way combat raged. Rhodes' faction, GATA and government forces, and the Sakari invaders. Energy beams lanced between skyscrapers. Missiles arced through smoky skies. In the thick of it all, Austin piloted a hybrid fighter, dancing through impossible maneuvers. He watched a Sakari cruiser crash into the bay and felt a pang of guilt at the destruction. On the ground, Zaxor led his troops through rubble-strewn streets, but as he saw terrified civilians fleeing the carnage, doubt began to gnaw at him. Was this truly justice or senseless slaughter? The fate of two species hung in the balance, and for Austin Hunter, the toughest choices still lay ahead. The once bustling streets of New York lay silent, save for the crunch of rubble beneath Austin's feet. He surveyed the devastation, his heart heavy with the weight of countless lives lost. Skyscrapers, once symbols of human progress, now stood as skeletal reminders of what they'd sacrificed in their pursuit of power. "We did this," Austin muttered, his voice barely audible over the wind whistling through empty buildings. Dr. Rhodes stepped up beside him, her wild hair matted with dust and debris. "We had no choice," she said, but her tone lacked conviction. A figure emerged from the shadows, alien yet familiar. Zaxor approached, his steps hesitant. "The Sakari fleet is regrouping," he reported. "But they're vulnerable. We've never faced such resistance." Austin turned to face his former enemy, now an unlikely ally. "Tell us everything." In the remnants of Gada's command center, Zaxor laid out the Sakari's weaknesses. Holograms flickered to life, displaying alien ship schematics and battle formations. "Their quantum shields have a refresh rate of 3.7 seconds, Zaxor explained. "Hit them in that window and they'll crumble." Dr. Rhodes leaned forward, her eyes alight with possibility. "We can modify our pulse cannons to exploit that." As they prepared for their assault, Austin couldn't shake the gnawing doubt in his gut. He watched crews load Sakari-derived weapons onto their ships, each one a testament to how far they'd come and how much they'd lost. The battle in Earth's orbit was chaos incarnate. Austin's fighters screamed through the void, narrowly avoiding debris and energy blasts. He heard Dr. Rhodes's voice crackle over the comm. "Now, Austin, fire everything." He squeezed the trigger. A wave of destructive energy erupted from his ship, joined by salvos from the rest of their ragtag fleet. The Sakari vessels, caught off guard by the precision of the attack, began to falter. One by one, the alien ships went dark, their hulls breached by weapons they'd never imagined humans could wield. As the last Sakari cruiser fell, an eerie silence settled over the battlefield. They'd won. But as Austin looked down at the scarred face of Earth below, he knew victory had come at too high a price. Days later, Austin stood before a gathering of Earth's remaining leaders. The room, once a grand chamber, now bore the scars of war. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. "We've all made grave mistakes," Austin began, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. "Our hunger for advancement nearly destroyed us all. We can't let that happen again." Murmurs rippled through the crowd as Austin outlined his plan. Faces twisted with anger, disbelief, and reluctant agreement as the debate raged on. In the end, they had no choice. The power they'd unleashed was too great, too dangerous to remain unchecked. On a distant, barren world, Austin watched as the last crate of Sakari tech disappeared into a vault deep underground. Dr. Rhodes stood beside him, her face etched with a mixture of regret and relief. Zaxor approached, now garbed in the uniform of the newly formed Guardian Force. "It's done," he said simply. As they prepared to leave, Austin cast one last look at the facility. Inside lay the promise of unimaginable power and the potential for untold destruction. He turned away, knowing that some things were better left buried. The shuttle lifted off, carrying Austin and Dr. Rhodes away from the legacy they'd created. As the planet receded behind them, Austin felt the weight of history settling on his shoulders. They'd shaped the future of two races, for better or worse. Now all they could do was hope they'd made the right choice.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.